There we go. Okay, Liz, you can take it away.
Sounds wonderful. Thank you so much, Savannah. Welcome everybody to 3 Ways Solution Architects Build Flexible Solutions with Minimal Effort. Huge thanks to Savannah for scheduling and being the leader for this lovely group. My name is Liz Hallen. I am with Dynamics User Group. And before we get to the topic at hand, I just wanted to cover a few things about who Doug is and what we do. If you've not met Doug before, we are your free community for anybody that's interested in any of the Microsoft Dynamics 365, Dynamics GP, or Power Platform products. We do have a global community of over 45,000 members worldwide so far. And just as a reminder for today, you can go to the next slide, Savannah. We just ask that all of you contribute and participate in a thoughtful and comfortable way of concerning your thoughts. This is not a time for sales pitches or anything like that. We're all here for the purposes of learning and getting educated on the core biz applications. In addition to Doug Meetup, like you are joining today, we do offer several other programs, which many of are free and available to you, including our forums, our YouTube channel. We have a great lineup of team up partners who are our partners and ISVs that support solutions that you're using every day. And in addition to that, we have webinars, and you've probably, yep, go ahead. No, that's fine. In addition to our virtual and local meetups, we do also have regional meetups. These are a little bit larger in scale, multiple products, multiple sponsors and tracks of content. Our next event will be January 15th in Tampa, Florida, but we do have our lineup and several other events coming later in this year, including Colorado, another one in Canada, in Ghana, in Kenya, in Ohio, in Texas. Many of you will probably be most interested in the Ohio one. I'm guessing some of you are located close to there. But in addition to our regionals, we are also the host of the DynamicsCon event. I think that is the next slide. Yeah. So we are going to be in Chicago, Illinois, the week of May 13th, and so excited to be welcoming up to 3,000 people in Chicago. So thank you so much. That is all that I have for now. And if you have any questions about Dynamics User Group or DynamicsCon or the meetups, feel free to let me know, and I will drop a link in chat for everybody as well. So thank you, Savannah.
Thanks. All right, I guess we can get the show rolling now.
Oh, sweet. Do I start or do I do an intro, or I don't know. Do I just hop into it, Savannah?
Yeah, just hop right in.
All right.
Yeah,
awesome.
I mean, introduce yourself if you would like, and we can roll from there. I didn't know if you had intro slides baked into your presentation, so.
I do have some intro slides to make it a little easier on everyone, but yeah, let's hop into it here and go. So first of all, do I have a little thing here? Okay, cool. Let me share. Hi, I'm Sean, but obviously you all are less interested in who I am and more interested in what I have to show you, which is the technology, as Liz mentioned. I'll add another thing. All of you just turned your cameras off, which is sad because I can see all of you here. So if you don't mind having your cameras on, I would have loved to see you. If you think this is going to be me talking at you the whole time, it's not. This is going to be interactive if you want it to be. If you don't want your camera on and you don't want to participate, no worries. However, a lot of what we're going to do here is going to be interactive, and I'm going to ask you things. So Ashley, Yonki, Liz, if you want to be on camera, cool. If not, up to you. So we're going to talk about 3 techniques to make really your solutions more flexible, but without having to be like some kind of like technical genius or having to do a bunch of extra work, because I find that a lot of really good architects are lazy, and that's great. They build it once the right way and then call it a day. So in here, I feel like memorizing the Power Platform isn't ideal, and I'm going to show you how it works. So I already said that. I said it's going to be interactive. Cameras on, please. So I can get just like a pulse of this group. Can you in the chat, and we're going to prove how interactive it is, can you let me know how good you are at Power Automate right now to make it easier for me? So give me a 4 if you're really good at it, and then give me a 3 if you're really good, but you don't want to admit it because you have imposter syndrome or you're uncomfortable. Thank you, Jerry. Give me a 2 if you've done some stuff, and give me a 1 if you've like not really ever used it. Please throw that into the chat. All right, we got some 2s. We got, oh, this can be fun. All right, sweet. So I think there's 3 principles to good architecture. The first one is performance. Obviously, can it run quickly? The next one is, even within performance, like, I don't care as much about saving the customer's time. I do, but I care more about you as the developer, as the architect. I want to save your time. So when it runs quickly, obviously you're going to be spending less time at the office trying to debug things. Reusability. Yes, you can build things faster, but again, you're working less because you're only having to do it once. So excited to show you that. The other one is this problem I see a lot, which is over-architecting, where people, your customers are going to really love you. You are not lame, Liz, at all. Is that when people overbuild things, they're building things that aren't really necessary. And so again, you're using up all your time. So I don't really think these are 3 principles of good architecture. I like to think of it as 3 principles of working less. If your reputation from me is that I'm super lazy, then awesome, I did my job. And that's what I want for all of you. I want you to spend time with your family. I want you to build great things and go home to your families as early as you can. So, reusability. Build it once, use it again. So, we have this fake outdoor adventures company, and we're going to have a lot of demos here. So, here they are. Here's some instructors. And then I think I have a different view. Here are the instructors. The instructors have different certificates, like Ahmed can do animal safety and has lifeguarding. Jerry, do you have a favorite outdoor activity? Thanks, Savannah.
Hiking.
What?
Hiking.
Oh, hiking?
Yes.
Okay. So in your case, your certificate would probably be something like, do I have it here? Not truck driving, but your certificate would be like first aid or something. That would make more sense in this example. All right. So if we come back here, we have this fake outdoor adventures company. And what we want to do is when they get certain certificates or awards, okay, we want to send them a text message, all right, on their phone. Like, congratulations, Jerry, you got the first aid award. Or Kelson, you look like you like canoeing. As soon as you get the, what's it called, like water safety award or lifeguarding, we want to send you a text, all right? So that pretty much means we also, though, we want to make a separate flow. We don't want to send Kelson or Jerry a text message if we stop giving the award. So if we give Jerry the first aid award, but that's not an award that exists anymore, like if someone comes in the system and like deletes the, I don't know, where is it? Deletes one of the certificates, like the lifeguard one, we don't want to then have them like receive these texts. So let's go back here. So now the first thing we need to do is we need to authenticate against the awards API, check if the award is still valid, maybe do some other stuff, who cares? And in the end, we send them a text message. But when an award is added, we also want to authenticate against the award API and check if the award is still valid. So we got this situation happening here. Okay? Based on looking at this, does anyone want to bravely volunteer and say, hey, I think there's an area where we can make this more reusable? Any thoughts here? Anything standing out to anybody? Any guesses? All right. The main issue here, and don't be afraid to raise your hand or write it in the chat. Right here, we see that these two are repeating code. We're authenticating against the award API, and we're checking if the award is still valid. Because we have this duplication here, condition, yeah, exactly. Because we have this duplication here, how can we prevent that from happening? Does anybody know? I know we're fairly new to Power Automate, so if you don't know, no worries. We'll go into it right now. Any ideas here? All right, I'll show you. What you can do is you can make a, where is it? you can make a child flow. So what that means is these two flows over here are going to call your child flow, and look at that. All of your repeated code is in here. So you're not repeating the code. What that means is if we change this API here, it's going to automatically affect these other two over here, and I have to do it all in one place. If we repeat it ourselves, if I change the API here, I'm going to have to fix the code here and fix the code here, and you're spending more time at work, which is not what I want for you. What I want for you is you're able to put it all in one child flow, these two call it, and then you call it a day, and then you're done. So, perfect example of just using reusable components. That is just a fancy word for it called the Liskov principle. Don't overthink it if you've never heard of that. That's just the software term of like, don't repeat yourself and make pieces that you can reuse. All right, next. Same thing applies not just for Power Automate. You can see these same concepts across the Power Platform. So in here, if the demo gods work for us, I think they will. They seem nice sometimes. All right. So if I go over here, awards approver. So here's how this Canvas app works. If Benicia got the truck driving certificate, I give her a thumbs up and I'm like, okay, that's good. I go through this list and I'm like, all right, we got Saiju, he got this. Once I go into here and I'm like an approver and I'm say, yes, these people do deserve the award, I click this button and it sends the SMS. It makes it official. Remember, we don't want to just start spamming people with text messages. We want to come in here and have a user approve them. Okay, this works. But notice this here. There is an exclamation point here. This exclamation point means that this award is one that safety is really important. We don't want to just give it to anyone. For instance, Ashley, have you ever done scuba diving? Ever, by chance?
Me? Did you say
Yeah.
Ashley? Yeah. No, I have not.
No,
Tim?
but if you did go scuba diving,
Yeah.
you would want your scuba diving instructor to be certified, wouldn't you?
Yes, I would hope so.
Exactly. Or horseback riding. Unless, Jerry, no offense, but if you're going on a hike, I don't think it's as dangerous as going scuba diving. So what we have here is we have this exclamation point, and this exclamation point says, hey, be careful. We have the exclamation point on this side as well. It also says, hey, be careful with this award. Don't just blindly give it to people. So what this looks like in code is this. If we open up over here, and we actually scroll down to it. And then we go here and come on, let me go into how we view it. Cool. We have this, oh, wrong one, bad. And let me go into visible. We have this. This is our logic to decide if we should show this award. We say or is match, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, don't worry about the code. The code doesn't really matter. My point is it's code. This code decides if we should show this award here or not. But on this side, if we hop over here, we'll notice that right here, icon warning, if we go into visible, we have or is, we have code again. We have, and if you don't believe me, I'm going to highlight this for a second. This code here, right here, and then right over here, this other code over here is exactly the same. So we're breaking the rule I just said of duplicating code. We don't want to do that. We want to put it in one central place. So right here, does anyone know offhand how we do this? How we can avoid, how can we reuse code in Canvas apps? Do we have any Canvas app people here? No one?
How about creating a variable?
Nice, exactly. And there are variables, he's exactly correct. There are variables that are specific to functions. If we go over here and we click on our app and then we go to on start, we've got these things where, oh no, sorry, they're over formulas. That's what we're talking about. Name formula. It's the variable version, what Jerry just said, but of reusing functions or formulas. So in here, I made one called is special award. And in here, I put all of that code we saw earlier. So now watch what I can do. I can go into here, and then let's go click on this. And then let's click on this guy. And then on view, there it is. Instead of doing all of this, I'm gonna comment it out. And I can go in here and put is special award. And then inside of here, this item.name. And that's that. Like, how much easier and simpler is that? And then now here, I'm going to take this is special award. And then I'm going to pretend it's still here. If we go back into here, and then I go into icon warning, instead of doing all of this stuff here, I'm going to comment that out. And I'm going to say is special award. And I say this .item.award name. Boom. So now I can go change all the code in one place and I can just reuse this formula. Such a simple yet such a powerful concept, and it can prevent all these repetitions, all this headache of trying to find out like all the places where the code lives. It's all in just one place. Reusability. All right, moving on. Reusability gets very, very cool. So reusability pops up in all kinds of areas. Has anyone here played with AI Builder before? All right, so AI Builder is a good time, provided that my license is not revoked for it, and that I still have my trial. If we hop in here and we go to AI Hub, come on, cool. So I have this type of an AI model, and this one processes like resumes. And what it can do is, as soon as like I add a resume, it can read text on it. If we go over here, and I think I have it, let me open up that. We're going to stay here for a second, but I'm going to open up a different app I have. Oh, I have it right here saved under solutions. Come on. Aren't live demos fun? All right, here we go. So if I hop in here into apps, and then I have, where is it? Cool. Canvas app. I think this should be this one. I don't want to do this one. I want to do the edit version 1 second. While this fires up. And let's see, do I have a version of it here? No, I don't. All right, doesn't matter. This is going to take clearly a long time. My favorite use case for users is data flows, for sure. Data flows can be absolutely helpful in that regard. I'm going to move on because this is taking way too long to load, unfortunately, so they're not really on my side here as much as I want to. But the point is, whatever I build inside of here, these models, what I can do, use it in Power Automate, but what I can also do is hop in here into my actual Canvas app, and then I go into here, and then I have AI Builder, and I can reuse some of the AI models that I built in my Canvas app. I can also use it inside of Power Automate. AI Builder is a terrific example of reusability. The other one, if we hop back in here, is right here. We talked about named formulas, which are great, but this is still reusing it only inside of Canvas apps. What I can also do is if I use low-code plugins, has anyone here experimented with those? Yeah, right, darn demo gods. So here, what we can do with low-code plugins is when you use them, like calculate two numbers, calculate the price. With low-code plugins, you can use them inside of Dataverse, inside your Dynamics, but you can also use them inside of Canvas apps, and then you could also use them inside of many other areas because they can just connect to like connectors or whatever you need to. So low-code plugins, they're still in preview. They're still very, very new technology, so I'd be careful about them. But the point is, this is something that doesn't just interact with Canvas apps, but other areas in the Power Platform, which makes them extra powerful. Now, when you make code across different projects is when things could get very, very fun. So if I go back into here, and then we go back into Power Automate, and then I should have one with handling errors. Let me see if it's here. Cool. Error handler notifier. Watch this. We go into this code. What this code does is it takes the name of a flow, a person to notify, and a flow URL. Okay? So what I can do here is, let's see if I have the try catch log over here, is if I go back out here, and then, yeah, right down here, it should be in here. If this flow, for some reason, runs and fails, what I can do is at the end, I can do a try catch log that calls, let me show here. So I would come into here and then let's do, we add a scope. Okay. And then I would add a next step and let's call it child flow. Run a child flow. And then in here, I'm going to pick my error handler. Okay. And then this is key. Settings. If we go after run after scope, but I don't want it to run on successful. I want it to only run under has failed. Why do I want to do that? That means in all the code that's running inside of here, if it fails, it will call this child flow. And what this child flow does is it finds a certain user in Teams, a specific person, whoever I want, like it can notify Liz, it can notify Ashley, it can notify whoever, and then it's going to post in a specific channel saying, hey, please look into this flow, Liz or Ashley or whomever. This particular flow failed. Here's the URL to the flow. And what we get in the end is something like this, where Kelson built a terrific flow. He's minding his own business. And then he gets a Teams message that says error from flows. So a user isn't telling him, hey, Kelson, your flow broke. But instead, he gets a message automatically. And then it pops up here. Here's the particular flow. Here is the message, what's wrong with it. And then here he can click and then go to the flow and find out what happened. So rather than his users like getting disappointed and the flow not working, they have to message Kelson. Kelson has to look into it. Kelson can be preemptive, find out what went wrong, and then go and solve it. So makes your life a lot easier because you can not get in trouble and you're dealing with it on your own time. All right. Another one is Azure Functions. Anyone here used Azure Functions before? Okay, Azure Functions are, okay, Kelson has, or I don't know if you're humoring me to make it participatory, but I appreciate you. So inside of Azure Functions, what I get here is a lot of really amazing custom power. And it's going to do things that in Power Automate, you just kind of wish it could. All right, to kind of ground ourselves in what we're talking about. Right here, we have this library called JamesPath, which is very, very cool. I can do some pretty neat stuff with it. So I'm going to throw in some JSON into here. Cool. So I have these outdoor activities, and then let's do format JSON. So this looks prettier. Let's go into here, put it in here. And then, oh, it doesn't like this. Why doesn't it like it? That's a shame. My JSON looks so good. Come on. Yay, there it is. Cool. Let me copy that, put it into here, and we're onward. So what I want to do is I want to do a basic expression here where I want to select only outdoor activities that cost, I don't know, $50 or more. So this hiking activity, Jerry, I promise I was not trying to offend you in this demo. I did not know you liked hiking before I made this. So let's move. If I took a, yeah. So what we're going to do here is instead, I'm going to use JamesPath, and I'm going to write an expression that says outdoor activities. So cool. Did you see how it just dynamically selected all of them? Like you will hopefully get more and more impressed as we go. And I'm going to go into here and I'm going to say where cost is equal to, and then let's say, I don't know, 50. Cool. We just nailed and we just got rock climbing here. I could also do some more impressive stuff. For instance, Ashley mentioned scuba diving, so we'll do whitewater rafting. Hey, Bill Congrove, have you ever been whitewater rafting before? Nope, all good. So if I do greater than 50, now I'm getting whitewater rafting. If I do greater than 0, I'm getting these other ones. So as you can tell, it's dynamically selecting these. Now, if you've used Power Automate before, yeah, like Kelson made Power Automate for room reservation. Very, very cool. Kelson, when you built that, did you use the filter function in Power Automate?
I didn't, and I wish I knew about it.
Oh, well, today's your lucky day. What do you think I'm about to show? So if I come into here and you click on like filter, and you go into here, you pick your source data of whatever it is, doesn't really matter. And then inside of here, I go, I'm just going to do item. And let's say I did, I don't know, what do we call price? And I could say price, and then I could do is equal to, is greater than, I could do a lot of stuff, is greater than 50. Right here, this right here is going to do really the exact same stuff as this. So why would I use this? Just you wait. Has anyone seen Hamilton? All right. So in here, if I try to up the ante and I want to get super fancy here, and I already have this already written, I'm going to copy this in here. And we're going to see if this works. Cool. So outdoor activity is great. So what I think, outdoor, let's do greater than, let's see, 2. Okay. And then let's do, I'm going to do greater than 12. Let's see here. Let me make sure I got this one right here. This one is not playing ball exactly how I wanted. Let's try it. Cool. So what you will see here, what it's doing is it's saying, go over here and select where the cost is greater than 0. The length of the name of it is greater than 7. And I want you to sort it on cost and then sort by danger level. Like, that's a very complicated operation. But this thing, James Path can handle it in ways that over here, if you try to do it in Power Automate, it's so much more work. Like, you can handle all of that in here in just this one tiny expression. And plus, there are others. So if we go in here, and then let me pick a slightly different one here. I'm going to choose this other one. Let me pick this. Boom. Let's look at what we just did. Cost is greater than 0. Length is greater than 7. Blah, blah, blah. And then we only get whitewater rafting. Sorted by danger level. And then look at this very, very closely. It might not seem impressive, but it's nuts what it just did. Is this structure the same as this structure? Here, name, danger level, cost. No name, no danger level, no cost. The one I just showed you earlier when I did the filter, let's look at it. It kept the exact same structure, name, danger level, cost. That's not very cool. It's just doing the exact same thing. But this one, when I paste this one back in, what we're seeing is I told it to build me a new type of structure at the very end here, where it's it should, let me remove this. It'll be easier to see. This keeps the original structure, but what I can do is hop into here, and then I can, let me add the dot. I can build a new model if I want. So I'm dynamically changing what the output is in terms of the actual like schema or setup. And that's incredibly powerful. You're not getting that in anything in like Power Automate. If you're trying to do what I just did in Power Automate, you're never going to be able to do it in one line of code of what I just had here. So what this gets you is if you want to use this, because I said you can't use it in Power Automate, what you can do is make an Azure function. So if I go into Azure and then I go into, I think it's this right here, and then I hopefully hop into my function app, I'm going to look at previous runs just to make sure this is the one I should be showing you. This is not the one I wanted to show you. Let's go back a little bit. Come on. And then I believe it's JSON Assistant. Yes, this is it. So if we go into this function, and then we come into here, and then we click test run, what I can do is I can come into here, and then I can build a certain JSON body. So what I'm going to pass into this is this right here. And we're going to hope that this works. Cool. So well, let's break down what I just pasted. If all of this looks familiar, name, danger level, cost, well, it's just this. It's the same thing right here. And if you don't believe me, I'm going to select it right here. And I'm going to go into here, and then I'm going to paste it, and then hopefully it will work. Cool. Put that right there. Great. And then in here, I have outdoor activities. This is just the James Path expression we were passing into here. That's just here. So then if I hit run, internal server error. That's exactly what I wanted to show you. Great. So demos are fun. So if I come into here and then I try to find out exactly what went wrong, let me see if I This is always fun trying to figure out exactly what the issue is, but I hope you believe me that this is cool. This is very cool when it does work, and especially on the fly. So let me go into here, try it one more time. Same internal server. All right, let me try a different one here. I thought this might happen. All right, let me select all this. It could be a formatting thing in terms of where I'm copying it from. No, it's still an internal server. Okay. Can you all just believe me for the sake of how part of the other demo work that you could definitely do what I just did here? You could definitely do it there. And you know what? Because I'm like super stubborn, I'm going to try one more time and then we're going to move on. I'm sorry, Savannah, I'm so stubborn, but I'm telling you, this is real and it works. So we're going to go here and we're going to copy it exactly as it was right here. And let me select it from here. Cool. And in fact, actually, you know what? I'm happy it failed because we could talk about how we debug this. So I'm not going to pass in this giant query because it's complex. I don't want to worry about it. In fact, I'm going to copy in a simpler one, put it in here, and then this one isn't working either, really. Like, you all just totally saw it work. So why is this doing this to me right now? All right, let me try one more time. Try with a different one. There we go. Okay, so we know this one works. So I'm going to take this simpler one and I'm going to put it into here. All right. So that one's good. And then I'm going to go into here and I'm going to put JSON. And then here, let's not put in quotes. We're going to put in a comma and we'll see if the rubber hits the road. I'm going to select this here and then I'm going to come over here and then paste it. And then we're going to run it and it worked. Okay. Sorry, I'm so proud of myself. We did a live debugging. I'm happy you saw that because this shows how this could be really tricky to work with. But this totally output it the way I wanted. And then now we're going to get even fancier here because I really want to push my luck in this demo because I feel like the demo gods are like kind of helping me and kind of messing with me. So I'm going to go in and use my more complicated expression, paste that into here, and there, that works. So now if I go back here and then I try to pass this in, hit run. Whitewater rafting, 75. I hope you see how powerful this can be as an addition to how you work with Power Automate. Now, reusability, this is all, be honest with me right now. Give me a thumbs up if you're like, this looks kind of intimidating and hard to work with. All right, we got a few. Thank you for being honest. I even think it's intimidating and I wrote the thing. So we have options here because Power Platform is amazing. So watch this. If we go into here, we have this area inside of, where is it? Inside of Power Automate, where they are called custom connectors. Now, most people, when they think custom connectors, they think connecting to some external API. Like here, this is like a university API. There's something else we can do. I can go into here. And I can make, instead of using this to talk to an external system, I can use this to run C# code. So I'm going to skip all this stuff because I don't care about it. I'm going to hop into code. And then I'm going to say this. Let's go to, do I have ChatGPT? Cool. Write me some, is this working even? GPT inaccessible or not found. That's fun. Gasp, not Copilot. Yeah, I know. I know. I told Savannah this is going to be a Copilot demo, but I'm sorry. It's starting to turn into that a little bit. All right. ChatGPT doesn't work. Let me see if I can get Copilot over here. Let's see if this will listen to me. Come on. Load. Write me a custom connector C# to check if a phone number is valid. Let's see if that does it. Sure thing. Blah, 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 blah. Cool. Let's hold on. So do you see how this wrote this code for me? Let's look at what the code actually does. If we go into here, the problem we're trying to solve is this. If your phone number looks like, I don't know, looks like this. What's a big thing? It's like 555-222-4. That's fine. But your users might not be paying attention. They might put it in parentheses. They might also, and I'll zoom in case this is way too zoomed out. They might put it in parentheses. They might also put the area code. They might put a +1 before the area code. They are going to do some crazy stuff. So what you want is that it always puts it into this kind of format. Like, let's say 3 area code parentheses, 3 digits, and then 4 digits. Let's say you want this every single time, no matter what it does. Power Automate, good luck. You're going to have a crazy amount of, Savannah was mentioning them earlier, you're going to have a crazy amount of like conditions and stuff trying to make this work. There's a much better way to do it. And that's here. If we go back into our custom connector, that's what this is. So I'm actually going to copy all this, and I'm going to hop open to Visual Studio Code just so we can look at it a little easier. All right. So what this does is this. It takes in a phone number, okay? The phone number is right here. You pass in the phone number to this function. Then it's going to go format it. And when it formats it, what it's going to do is it's going to make sure that the format is in this structure that I shared right here. So it's going to make sure that the first 3 strings are this. It's going to make sure they're in parentheses. It's going to do all of that. And then it's going to keep going. And then it's going to make sure it's in here. It adds that. It's going to pretty much, no matter what the user typed in, it's going to force their phone number to be in this format. So once I have all this code, I can copy it, and then I can put it over here, and then I can go to test. So once I'm in test, I'm going to come in here and type a phone number. Here's a phone number. That's in a really strange format. I hope you all can see how ridiculous that looks. Let's zoom in. So this person decided to forget the parentheses. They added this one here, and then they added like 5 parentheses here. Like, this is kind of a mess. If I want to clean that up, you're not going to blindly trust the code. Yeah, no, Kelson, I'm not. So I'm going to hit test operation, and I got a response back. Here's my old original phone number. Yeah. And then if I look at it and we keep going, here's my new formatted number. It did this for me. Now, all of this code, you don't really even have to know how to write it. You might take some like guessing and checking, but you just paste it here. You don't have to touch Azure. You don't need fancy credentials. You just go into here, click new custom connectors, and you paste it. So then in here, what I can do is, I think I have it at the bottom here. Cool. So if we zoom in, I have this wild phone number. I'm going to pass it into, I'm going to show you how we did that. So over here, under runtime, I'm going to select custom. And we have this custom regex one. This is the one I made. And then I'm going to click format phone number. And then inside of here, body phone number, I'm going to select this right here. I'm going to select that right here. So I'm going to go in here and then click under compose weird phone number, and I'm going to pass it in. It's that simple. And by the way, if for some reason you don't believe me that I built this one right here, if we zoom in on this icon, you'll notice the words Bon Jovi. I don't think Microsoft puts that into their icon name. So clearly I made this one. So zooming back out, if we go to an actual run of this flow, I think I have one back here. So I don't have to run it again and we don't have to wait. Oh, I don't have one? That's not fun. Let me go in here and all right, let me try to see if I can trigger this flow here. So it's going to expect an array of values. Let me try to get that set up for you over here. If we go in here. You see how I have this flow run? This one should definitely be calling it, and I'm surprised it isn't. So if I go into here, and I'm going to just try to select all my instructors. So here they are inside of here. I'm going to try to copy all of these instructors that we were talking about earlier. And I'm going to try to trigger this flow. We'll see how well this works. Paste that all in here. Let's do run flow. And it failed. Not a good sign. But I'm going to actually cheat here. And where did it crash? It crashed here. All right. So what we can do instead is for this specific demo is what we're going to do is we're going to actually move some of the actions to the top so I know that it calls those. So do you see here how I have all of these grouped in a scope. Because they're grouped in a scope, I can take this one and put it all the way back at the top. It's the same concept of reusability. So even though this flow failed on purpose, because I group them all this way, they're very easy to move. So now I'm going to save it, and we're going to rerun it again. All right. And then let's go back here. I'm going to hit back. Savannah, I'm still good on time, yeah?
Yep, you have about 17 minutes.
Perfect, cool. So let me go here and let's rerun this one. So a scope to group activity like a function, yes. This is why I would love doing demos live, because these questions come up. All right, so this thing is running and, oh, action condition failed. It's because if we went into here and we go into settings, come on. Let's go here. Which aspect did it fail on? It got here. That's strange. This is a bit of type object inside of. So I get why this one failed, but that's interesting that it didn't call this one. Skip dependent action. Skip action skipped. Interesting. So hold on, this one's fun. We get to look into here and figure out like what actually went. What was the difference in scope and a child flow? Okay, let's try to address these one at a time here. So right here on this one. All right. All right, so I'm going to pause here. So how this one would work is once it gets this phone number, it passes into here and it outputs, just to wrap this one up, and then I'll answer your questions. Let me go here. Just like the way we tested it, this is what we would get at the very end. So here, because my demo isn't playing nicely, this aspect would work, and I would be able to have that right here. So, but let's go back to your actual question. Is scope a grouped activity like a function? A scope is, when you say grouped activity, can you expand on what you mean by activity, Kelson, please?
Well, I see that you have a function happening, and then you're formatting, and then you're composing. And so I assume that that's like multiple steps, and you're just categorizing that as one function, essentially. You're saying do this, and this, and this.
Yeah. So in here, I'm always doing, like, watch, I can put this out here, put this out here, and then put this out here. And it's exactly the same. Like, I can hit save. And then we're going to try to rerun this, and I'm going to show you what I'm talking about. And then I go here, and then let's do resubmit. So this one's running, doing its thing. Here's our weird phone number. Here's me calling it inside of here. Here's our output. So this is what I wanted to show you. Here's the original phone number, and here it is me fixing it. And then at the end here, we go into our composed. It then spit it out here as the correct one. So all of these three items, I can have them just living here independently. So it's still one after the other after the other. What you
I
get
apologize. Yes. What is that? What is the architecture of what you have labeled as scope?
Yeah. The architecture of what I have labeled as scope is when I add all of these inside of here, two things. One, I can hit this and I can copy it. So I can copy all of this code and move it somewhere else instead of me going right click copy, right click copy, right click copy. I can also do cool stuff here where, because all of these run in a group, I can say if anything here fails, do something else. So in here, code, and then run after, I could say is successful or is failed. I can do that here instead of after each one of these trying to add the like run after rule. I don't have to do if this is successful, then if this is successful. No, I could just do this whole, if this whole scope is successful. Does that make sense? Cool.
Oh, yeah.
Jerry, what is the difference between group and scope and child flow? Can you please elaborate on that?
Just a minute. Can you basically copy this and make it reuse it in another flow then?
For sure. What I can do here is I can do something like, if you want to copy all this, this is really pretty a small amount of code, but nonetheless, I can go into here and then this is a brand new flow. And then in here, I could just, let's call this one format phone number, okay? And then pretend that none of this code exists. I can go in here, hit copy, and usually with the new designer, sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. There it is. Paste that here. And then what I can do is go over here, and instead of calling all this stuff, I can go in here and do run a child flow. And do exactly what Jerry said. Go pick my flow and go call it here. I can absolutely do that. I would say in this case, the reason I probably wouldn't want to do it is just because this is such little code anyway. Like, no. But Jerry's absolutely correct. If I had a bit more than that, then I would absolutely do something like that. And to make sure I don't actually save any of this stuff, I'm going to go refresh so I don't actually save any of this stuff there. Okay, cool. Any more questions on this? Thanks for bringing them up. A, your questions made the demo work, but B, it got us into a more interesting conversational territory. Cool. Anything else? Awesome. Then I'll move on. So, moving on. The last thing is, and this is so great. Over-architecting. This is such a common pattern I see, unfortunately, where we just do way more work than we need to be doing. So, a lot of times, people think good architecture is this. There's like an approach that's hard at the beginning and then becomes easy at the end, and then we achieve our goal. Other people think, oh, as long as I don't take shortcuts at the beginning, I'm not going to run into these problems later. Approach number 2. There's usually a third approach. Not usually, but sometimes. I would say in 1/3 of my projects, I've seen something like this. There is a completely different thing that accomplishes the same goal. It's just in a completely different direction, and you have to think differently about the whole project. I'll show you what I'm talking about. So in here, we did this where we made this a lot easier to use. Now, let's try to ship this and do something slightly a little different. So in here, let's say whenever an email enters the system inside of Dataverse, or inside of Dataverse, and we want to make sure this isn't a fake email. What can we do? Like, what process can we run in the background or whatever? Or what can we do to make sure that this isn't fake? Like, how do we check that? Like, what can we do? Does anybody have kind of any ideas? I've already shown you a technology. I've shown you a couple technologies that can accomplish that. So any thoughts here? Kelson, since I know you've done so far a decent amount in technology, can you share what are maybe the first thoughts that are coming to mind?
Initially, that I have a database I can check against and see, do I have a entry like in a SharePoint site that this is in tabular format I can check against? Does this email already exist in this other slot?
For sure. How are you going to be doing the checking?
I'd probably have a function for it after I bring in the SharePoint information.
Okay. Terrific. You can absolutely do that. I don't know, Bill, Damu, Jerry, Liz, Savannah, if you have any thoughts on this, would love to hear any ideas you have. So yeah, you could have a function, like you can go do it in JavaScript, you can go do it in Power Automate, and then whoever the developer is would go off and build this thing.
Oh, sorry. The other thing I would do is I would set up a filter. I would say filter for this email address. If it returns nothing, then I set up a condition that then proceeds to set one up. Or if it does catch it, bring in the rest of the information that's associated with it.
Okay, and that all lives where? Is that code or what is that?
That's in Power Automate, conditional statement, and filtering.
Awesome. Power Automate, for sure. That will do the job. There's also something else you can do. If we go over here into let's go to the admin center. We're going to take a little field trip. Did anyone see, this is I don't know why I do so many demos live, because they like half kind of work, but I feel like they're so much more fun. So I hope you appreciate it when there's like loading screens that take forever and sometimes it doesn't work. Because when it does work, I feel like it's so much more rewarding. And it's fun to debug it when it doesn't work. All right, let's hop into this environment. Let's go into settings. And then let's go into features. All right. Now, I'm going to type in the word email. Ooh, this looks interesting. Live is so much more authentic. Thank you, Liz. So much more dangerous, but you know, I used to skateboard as a kid, so maybe the adrenaline is still in me. Look at this. Enable email validation and model-driven apps. Okay. So Kelson had an awesome idea. Probably would have taken Kelson, because he's great at code, probably maybe a week to build it, to test it, to deploy it. And then instead, Bill or Liz is going to come in here and press this button and then call it a day. So what is the point of what I'm trying to show you here? Oh, you should come in here and memorize all this stuff. Get out of here. I don't even know what all this stuff does. You can ask me trivia questions that I'm not going to know, and I work in this stuff all day, every day, and I teach about it. The point I'm trying to get across is if there is ever any kind of a new feature that you need to do, the very first thing you should do is check if it already exists as a feature. It sounds so simple, but I guarantee you half of the developers you've worked with are skipping that. I've seen so many people like, oh, I guess I could build a Power Automate flow, and I'm like, slow your roll. Like, before we build anything, like, does this type of thing already exist, or are we wasting our time completely? One of my favorite books is called Getting Real. I highly suggest it. It's not even a book. It's a free PDF you can go get online. And one of it talks about how to build successful web applications. And one of its big rule is more code, more problems. So the less tech you add, the more likely it is to work. So how can you remove tech from the equation? And if you do use tech, how can it be something that you don't have to really maintain? So I always try to keep this in mind before I get approached with a problem. So a common one is there's usually little rules I follow. Here they are. Whenever I see any 5-minute warning, those are so great, I don't want to. Oh, thank you, Savannah. Yeah, I appreciate the 5-minute warning though. So how do I know when something is going in the wrong direction or it's over architecting? Well, it's hard to know. But there are warning signs. There are red flags you can do to prevent it. For instance, if someone says the word Canvas app, slow them down. Do you really need to do a Canvas app? I'll show you what I'm talking about. In here, let me show you this super cool Canvas app I have. It's loading, it's doing stuff. Let's over here also, I'll close these other ones because it's running so crazy slow. Let's go to SharePoint here. I'm milking that 5-minute warning, Savannah. I will stop talking, but let me just, I want to get to this final point because it's one of my favorite ones. So here, that's not the one. Cool. Like, doesn't this look cool? Doesn't this like impress people? There's like charts and stuff, and you can show all the cool things it does. And watch this. In here, I can track all of the different resumes that were submitted. I can say like, oh, Carlos did really well in the interview. I'm going to give him 4 stars. I can go over here. I could even do like bulk and like modify all these records in bulk. Like, this is pretty nifty. Here's the thing. All of this is connected to a SharePoint system. What is this doing that SharePoint isn't already doing? This would be like, I think, a giant waste of time. It looks cool. And if there are certain features in here, or you're connecting to some other data source or something this Canvas app does that you need that SharePoint can't do, for sure. But yes, exactly. Don't reinvent the wheel. If it already, this is great. If the shoe fits where, don't reinvent the wheel. Listen to what Savannah just said. Like, this is great. Yeah, it's not as pretty as like this, but do you need this star system? Can't you just put the number 5 and call it a day? Like, more code, more problems. All right. Without going over, I'll just kind of summarize like why we were even here and what we were going to do. So I showed you 3 techniques to architect solutions with minimal effort, specifically focusing on, what was it? Performance. We talked about that, reusability, and then obviously over architecting. If you want to connect with me, Savannah, Liz, am I allowed to put in my LinkedIn into the chat? Okay, cool. I'll do that. Yeah, connect with me. I make YouTube tutorials. Yeah, there's all kinds of stuff on my LinkedIn page. I try to post like every week some kind of educational tidbit. And thank you so much, Savannah and Liz, for having me. This is my 2nd time at the Indiana user group. And then just the communication is always fantastic. And so it's like a really smooth experience. And you all are so much fun. So thanks for having me.
Thank you so much for coming back and presenting with us. This was great. Liz, I know this session will be posted to the Dynamics user group YouTube page. So if that's something of interest to you, if you want to rewatch it, go ahead and do so. Also, if you'd like to stay up to date with Doug Indiana or any of the other user groups, if you're not in Indiana, there's many other user groups across the world. So feel free to check meetup.com and join your local user group because they do a lot of virtual, in person. So yeah. If you'd like to stay up to date with Doug Indiana, which I think most of you are following that page already, feel free to check the link in the chat and stay up to date. We have a lot of exciting stuff coming in January, including a Power BI extravaganza month, if that's something of interest to you. So yeah, great to have you all. Thank you so much for attending.
Thank you,
Thank you so
Savannah.
much.
Great job, Sean. Thank you.
Thank you. Cheers.
Thanks. Bye. Stop the recording.